Hello and welcome. I'm Ig,
I'm Dan.
and we're here to talk more about Game of Thrones. Episode 2.
Episode number 2.
Numero dos. I loved this episode.
This is very much giving everyone all the stuff they want before they start killing off, and by everyone I mean fans, all the
Yes.
stuff they want before they start killing off characters. So they
Yes.
want us to leave these stories in a place where we're like, well, at least X happened.
Right. Everyone is going to die.
Yeah.
That tragedy we were talking about avoiding last week is coming.
I feel like Arya's a interesting character in this episode. We can start there.
Arya's not a little girl anymore.
I mean, I actually saw some stuff online of other people kind of having similar thoughts of like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like, it shouldn't be, but it is. Because, like, we're like, oh, yeah, she's just a little girl. And you're like, nope. Now she knows what it's like before she dies. She's probably not going to die. I mean, I will say that now. But I'll knock on some sort of wood. And you're going to hear this because it's the table the mic is on. But I don't think she's going to die.
Knocked on wood. I have no idea what's going to happen, but we have
Fair.
to make our guesses. There's a
I did
line-
not. I forget if we talked about this. Are you in a Deadpool? Because I am not.
No, I'm not in a Deadpool, but also, I don't know, I just feel weird trying to pick who lives, who dies. There's a line in book 1 that a lot of people point to as foreshadowing of Arya's demise, and that is, winter ends and the snows thaw, they'll find Arya's body with a needle frozen between her fingers. I worry that that's the way she's going, but I would love for the ending, and to loop Gendry into this, I would love for their ending to be that they end up together and that he is legitimized, that he saves House Baratheon, that he becomes the new Lord Gendry Baratheon.
Oh, yeah. Because there aren't any Baratheons right now except for him.
Correct. Not even the illegitimate ones like Tommen. And it would be kind of poetic because the founder of House Baratheon himself was a bastard. Then Arya to be his lady. And she said she never wanted to be a lady, but I think he's down with, her having her own free will and her own free spirit.
Yeah, he seems pretty open to her doing what she wants, so that's
Right.
good. And rare in this universe. One very quick character to point out is Ghost in the back of one scene
Ghost!
with no interaction with anyone, but he was there.
He's
So
there.
That's
Ghost
a little bit
lives.
more than before.
They couldn't afford any dragon action this episode because they had those few frames of Ghost in the corner. That's where all that budget went.
Yeah. So again, in terms of fan service, they were like, well, at least nothing's going to happen, but he'll be there.
They better have some Ghost action
Oh,
in this
I'm
battle.
sure they will.
I mean, we've been lacking on a lot of direwolf action in this show. Like, early days, it always frustrated me when they would talk about,
I've heard his wolf killed 12 men and as many horses.
and they're like, I want to see this. I want to see a direwolf in a battle. You got a little bit of it in the battle at the wall, but even that was such a tiny little sliver. Oh, you know what? The Deadpool that I am looking at, they have questions at the end. And there's one, will Ghost the Direwolf appear at all during the final season? So anyone who checked yes, they got a point for that.
Nicely done. I don't know, who else is on your list? Jorah's got a good couple moments in this episode.
Yeah, Jorah had a bit more to do than he did last episode. I feel like somewhere we talked about him and Lyanna meeting and what that would look like. So I was glad that we got to see that and see them chat. Her armored up was awesome, but I'm worried about her.
Yeah. I think
Everyone's
people
gonna die.
like her too much, and she's not integral to the plot, so I feel like she'll be fine. Like, I feel
Oh, you
like
think
they
she'll be
would know
fine?
that people would get so mad that if she died, and she doesn't matter in the large scheme of things. No offense, Lyanna.
That makes me think they'd go the other way, that she's, expendable, and yet they would be able to get a reaction from people. I hope we get to see more Night's Watchmen, because it feels so odd to have Night's Watchmen. It's like the wall's down and our job is done, so...
Yeah, so actually, a question I had. They know there's an ice dragon, right? Like,
Well,
because that was not mentioned at all in the Dead are attacking Winterfell battle speech, and I was wondering if did all the people who were actually there die?
no.
Well, I guess
because we have-
Bran certainly knows.
Bran knows because he told everybody.
The Night King has your dragon.
I just thought it was odd that was not brought up in their like plan for the attack or for the defense.
But also from Eastwatch, we have Barrack and
Okay.
Tormund.
Right, they were there. Okay, I couldn't remember where they were.
Yeah,
when that happened.
Star of the show, Tormund. I wanted
Yes.
to save talking
Accurate.
about him, but god damn it.
He's the best.
Theon volunteering to stay with Bran. Yeah, I like this redemption that we have going on, but I don't understand what the plan is. They want to use Bran as bait. Kind
I
of,
guess-
sort of, not really.
Is the idea that they can't have like the dragons and everything with him because the Night King would sense a trap? Is the idea that the Ironborn and Theon is like so ineffective and like not dangerous that the Night King would be like, this is fine?
Yeah, they didn't really talk about that in the battle plan. Like, as they have their chess pieces out there, nobody mentioned, like, oh, by the way, the Night King has an ice dragon.
Right.
Just swoop in and screw us up.
Yeah. Also, the Godswood is not that far away, right? In my like geographical idea, like it's right there, and
Yeah, I
so
mean-
I feel like that's not really drawing him that far away. I guess it would be him specifically versus the army. But
One theory that people seem to like is the idea that somehow, some way, Jaime might kill the Night King, living up to his
and be
name,
the Kingslayer. Okay.
the Kingslayer.
They call you King Killer.
Yeah, I kind of like that, and then that would explain why he dies if he like with his last breath kills the Night King.
Right.
Because I'm
That
pretty
and-
sure, I am like 99.9% certain that Jaime is going to die.
Yeah. He of people that are gonna die, he's probably at the
Especially
top of my
because
list.
he's like done, they're closing off a lot of the storylines that have been left open with Jaime. So I feel like him and Brienne and him and Bran and him and other people that start with BR. He is
Baskin
kind
Robbins. He's sworn them
of,
off.
exactly.
I'm not that person anymore.
He's sort of making his peace with people and doing the right thing and like being a fine, upstanding knight, finally. Making sure we know that he came from a different place, but now is like an honorable person and will feel bad about him when he dies.
I 100% agree. The one thing is, I feel like whatever final conflict with Cersei it feels very George R.R. Martin that Jaime be alive for that,
That's true.
and to be on the other side for that emotional conflict.
So the other thing that that brings up to my girlfriend, I was like, oh, hey, it's weird that this battle is going to last the remaining 4 episodes. Because I was like, that's sort of the big, thing that's left in the season. Then she was like, oh, right, but,
Right.
they have to deal with Cersei and they have to go down south or something has to happen there. And it's like,
Right.
I completely forgot about that because I guess I'm a Jon, not a, Daenerys. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is the only thing that matters.
Right.
And B, I was like, I'm not sure I care.
You might be the most arrogant man I've ever met.
Like,
But yeah, I strongly suspect, I don't know what my percentage would be, but up there with you in the high 90s, that Jaime is going to die. And keep in mind, he had a little moment with Bronn. in an
there
earlier season
literally was another BR.
where they talk about dying, and he said,
How do you want to go?
and I think he's gonna die in Brienne's arms.
And it'll let Brienne go off with Tormund.
We're all going to die. But at least we die together.
I don't
Yeah.
think she will, but she could.
Which star of the show? Which I guess we should just talk about that wonderful wine drinking scene
Yes.
where Tyrion offers to Tormund, and he says, "Nah, brah,
Brought my own.
BYOB."
Yeah.
I was saving this beer
so-
can for that.
It was a perfect. I appreciated that.
And then, of course, Brienne, Sir Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah.
What a heartwarming moment. I think Brienne will live.
Yeah, I think so. They can't kill the universe's only female knight.
Right. I was kind of hoping she was just going to turn around right away and then Night Pod.
Yeah, I actually thought that was going to happen as well.
Poor Pod. He's like, I sang you all a lovely song. Well, I guess the song came afterward. Never mind. That's why he had such a great performance in that song, is that he was so sad he didn't get knighted too. He even
Or
gave
he
her
was like,
this,
if I sing well enough, maybe they will knight me. They'll remember me.
But that song was great.
Yeah.
He's got the voice of the angels. We were talking about Tormund and all of his silly moments, but when Brienne gets knighted, I mean, bravo to that actor when he's applauding for Brienne, and he just has this look of like 100%, like, I'm proud of you, even though he doesn't
Yeah.
understand what's happening. It just felt so genuine, you know? It wasn't the usual, I'm trying to get into your pants.
It could be our last night in this world, you know?
Yeah. Well, he's
It-
just one of those people who's like, you know, despite being a murderer and, you know, from the north and all that, but he's just like very, you know, he's like very chill and happy all the time.
He keeps it 100.
Like even about death, he's happy.
So we got Brienne and Jaime. Jaime's probably dying. Brienne's probably gonna live. Tormund,
Giant's milk.
I really hope Tormund doesn't die, but I mean, what is there gonna be for Tormund after this? You know, I don't. Well, him and Brienne can go off and make babies like he's always wanted. But
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? Do you think Tormund's gonna weather the storm?
I had previously thought that not just one of them is going to die, the other one is going to survive, that two of the three of those of that triangle. And it's not really a triangle. It was sort semi love triangle.
It's a
of
triangle.
Tormund, Jaime, and Brienne.
They both love
two-
Brienne.
That's
But
true. That's,
One of them loves Brienne. I think the other one just wants to breed.
oh god.
He said it.
but
He
yeah.
said, "I want her to." What did he say?
I want to make babies with her. Think of them. Great big monsters that conquer the world.
My original thought was 2 out of the 3 of them would die, and I am leaning now towards only Jaime dying, but I don't know. Could go any way, any of the 6 possible combinations, whatever it is.
Well, something I'm thinking about now. We know the Army of the Dead. They have their own giant. Wouldn't it be perfect if Tormund kills that giant? Or maybe they would probably set that up, but then the giant, like, in its final death throes, crushes Tormund or something, and it'll be super tragic and heartbreaking, heart-wrenching.
I mean, someone's going to do that thing that always happens of like they're celebrating because they just won, and someone's like, "Yes, we finally won," and then they're gonna get shot by an arrow or stabbed through the heart or something.
It's gonna be like, watch out, and they're like killing. They're like, no, I'm cool, and they're like, behind you,
Yeah.
bam. Tyrion.
Would you like a drink?
I also, so honestly, the first scenes of this episode, I was coming around to your thought of like, oh, maybe there is a secret plan, because there were even more weird Tyrion looks when people
Okay,
mentioned Cersei.
all right, starting to bring you over to the dark side, but
But then like he's having a one-on-one with Jaime, and like those looks
Yeah.
are sort of gone, and he's like, yeah, I guess I shouldn't have trusted her. And so I'm like, oh, I
And-
guess that really was just like weird direction rather than hiding
well,
something.
I suppose
unless he
there's
still is.
I suppose there's room maybe still for something that kind of like in Jorah with season 1. Otherwise, I was completely wrong. There was no backroom deal.
Yeah, because for me, it literally was within 45 seconds of the first part of this episode. I was like, "Oh, I guess Egg's right. Oh, okay, never mind."
Yeah, story of my life. But do you think he will survive? I mean, he's got to
I think he'll survive. Yeah,
And I say out of the entire cast, he's the one most likely to make it through to the very, very end. I mean, anyone can die at any second. I wouldn't take any of this to the bank.
he also said the line,
I think we might live. I do.
"Never say that in this kind of show. Never
Right.
ever say that." So, who knows?
Davos, who knows? He hasn't been really up to much, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of retreating into being kind of father figure again, which I'm fine with.
Like they have her face all scarred up, and it's clearly supposed to
Right.
have him harken back to Shireen. I don't know. It's trying a little too hard. He did have that nice bit of comedy, though, with the
Maybe I will have that drink.
after Tormund's story. Oh, God, and Tormund chugging that milk.
Oh god, yeah. Just like how much of that actually went into his mouth.
Is that everybody in the room with the fire? Oh, and Pod.
I think he'll be fine.
He'll sing, and the walkers will hear him sing and be like, "You may
Put
live."
down their weapons.
Someone who is 100% going to die, and that is Grey Worm. Grey Worm.
Oh yeah. Well,
dead
unless
as a
Missandei
doornail.
dies, but again, one of them is absolutely dying.
Jorah,
Jorah probably dead.
we mentioned, but he's got
He's got
that,
sword now.
that fresh new sword.
I'll wield it in his memory.
I liked the way he said,
You still have a family.
again, with the wall being down, Like, when this
Yeah.
is all said and done, the Night's Watch don't have a job anymore, right? Are they all out of their vows? And so Sam could keep doing his thing with Gilly, and is that sword just on loan? Is he going to get it back?
Yeah, well, so I did not, you know how I feel about theories, but I did not read this, but I saw a headline online that was like, the true meaning behind Sam giving Jorah his sword. I'm like, is there a true meaning? I feel like he just wanted a sword. Or
Maybe
like,
that
you
was
know-
just a clickbait
yeah, well, I'll
title,
never
because
know.
it's maybe there's going to be like, did you know that his father was Jaywar? His
Right,
sword
yeah,
was
could be.
Longclaw, but then he left it behind, so now he's got the thing, and that's why blah, 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 blah.
So Sam, we just talked about him.
Oh, but you think Jorah's going to die?
Probably, but I don't know.
I'll see you when it's through.
I think Sam's going to live because
I think Sam's gonna live as well.
I think like the very final shot will be like Sam closing a book that he just finished writing, and it's A Song of Ice and Fire.
The Hobbit, or There and Back Again. Yeah.
Exactly. The Hound in Barrack. Barrack, I think Barrack's another 100% dead.
Yeah, but for real this time.
I mean, yeah, that'll be it. I guess we don't really fully understand. I mean, I suppose like if Melisandre were to swoop in and raise him up, but then again, I don't know.
We
We don't really know how it works.
Talking about, where people are. Where is Melisandre right now?
When Jon and Daenerys were first getting together, and she's like on this cliff top chatting with Varys, but she says, "No, I'll show up again. I have to die in this strange country, as do you." Which I guess
We haven't seen. He wasn't in this episode at all, was he?
he was just kind of in the background making faces,
Yes, he does.
bowing to Daenerys. So yeah, I get, according to Melisandre, Varys is gonna die. Will it be next week? I don't know. But Barrack, I say probably. The Hound. I think the Hound might live. I don't know why. I just feel. He has to live. What am I talking about?
Yeah, he's going to
Of course
live
the
through
Hound.
this battle.
course
Whether or
he
not he
has
lives
to.
in the season, I don't know. But
We gotta do Clegane Bowl. Gotta do Clegane Bowl. 100% going to live the Hound, because he needs to do Clegane Bowl. Those are the only plans that matter. Oh, Sansa?
she had some good moments this episode. I feel like she'll live.
Yeah, I mean, and I think now we're just at our top people, right? Unless I'm missing anybody.
Yeah, I think Jon, Daenerys. I think that's it, right?
Jon and Daenerys, yeah. I have to give you props because you called it. You called it. Daenerys will not be cool with Jon potentially being king.
Well,
don't
I
know
mean,
what you call
like
it.
she even said in this episode, like she has had up until, Jon convinced her otherwise, she has had one single goal this entire time, and she would just learned that her goal that she has had this entire time can no longer take place, basically.
At first glance, I was a little disappointed in Jon. I would think he would show some kind of tact.
Really?
That I don't know why. They've already had so many conversations with her, like bend the knee, I'm the queen. So I don't know. I would have figured he would have tried to soften the blow a little bit, but he went very kind of Ned Stark with it. Like, this is the truth, this is the fact of the matter, and I'm going head first into it. But then a friend kind of set me straight, and I have to give her credit. I believe I'm legally obligated to say the beautiful and talented Gohar. Friends might remember her as being the one I would secretly record as she freaked out watching Game of Thrones. She pointed out to me it was because they went off on that question, you gave up your crown to save your people. Do you think she would do the same? That Jon, he's like watching her. And like when she mentions
You'd have a claim to the Iron Throne.
he has this like look. I think he's disappointed. I think he's like, I loved you.
Yeah.
I just experienced this bombshell of a revelation of who my mother is. I would think that you would have some little empathy for me, but you went straight to the throne. That's where your brain went. Trouble in paradise. Honeymoon is over.
I would not call Winterfell at this point paradise, but I see I see where you're going.
I don't know. I guess I'm a child of the North.
I did appreciate how many moments in this episode was Daenerys like going to talk to Jon and Jon being like, "Bye, don't want to
Yeah.
deal with this."
Yeah, that's how I broke up with my first high school girlfriend, was just avoiding her as much as possible. So I understand
when you learned she was your aunt.
But I mean, we got our top players here, Jon and Daenerys. How do you think that's going to shake out?
Well, I think I feel like they'll both survive this battle.
Oh, by the way, that was another bit of unresolved, when we're talking about the hierarchy. How does it work? Like, where does Jon fit in? Where they had that panel, and Sansa was Lady of Winterfell, Daenerys is the queen, and Jon is the Warden of the North. And so it's like, oh, okay, now I understand. Options, possibilities.
Oh, did we mention whether or not we think Bran lives? Because I'm really not sure. I could go very much either way on Bran.
Do you need help?
You know what?
Because I kind of don't want him to live because he's super obnoxious, but like that's not a reason to say yes or no.
I have a theory, and so I think part of that theory will be that Bran dies.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why as we get into endgame discussion. So as you said, the big battle is happening in the middle of the season. 55 straight nights that they shot this thing. It's going to be
the
epic.
Longest continuous battle sequence in cinematic history, longer even than the 40-minute Battle of Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Did you?
That is a fact I definitely didn't read. I definitely came up with that from my head. Certainly wasn't looking at a piece of paper.
There's a couple of options. One, the good guys win, but obviously at a terrible cost. And then now they have to face Cersei, and Jon and Daenerys are not on the best of terms, so that's a little shaky. And that's what we're looking at for the rest of the season. Another possibility, I wonder, what if they somehow repel the Night King? Like, would the Night King retreat? Would the Night King be like, okay, this isn't going to work right now, so let me continue south?
Or it just like skips around Winterfell and goes down to King's Landing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he can, double up his army and then come back around to Winterfell. Or is he so focused on getting Bran? Or, and here's what I think. Here's my theory. Here's my Ig theory. All right? Are you ready for the Ig theory?
I am. I'm always ready for an Ig theory.
Because I wonder if they're successful, the good guys, but all the dragons die, Bran dies, the Night King dies, a lot of our characters die, and then what are we left with? There's no more supernatural elements in the show, and then the rest of the season is just the human conflict.
Oh, kind of going back to where it started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that might be the outcome of this big battle. And it's kind of like a Lord of the Rings, the death of magic, the age of men kind of thing.
Yeah, that certainly seems pretty plausible to me.
Because then we have 3 episodes left that are... Oh! I even wrote it down. I almost forgot. Every big battle that we've had on the show, how has it ended? Disregarding, I guess, the Field of Fire. That wasn't a battle. That was like an ambush slaughter. It's ended with everything looking like hope is lost, but then the cavalry shows up to save the day, right?
Oh, so you're thinking Cersei will come up?
Battle of the Water. I think Cersei will show up. They'll sweep through. It'd be awesome if they had elephants, and things are not going to go well.
Yeah, that actually is pretty reasonable. I like it.
I think that about covers it. I can't wait to be wrong. Because that's what I love about this show. Like, when this episode was ending, I sat in my seat and legit was just kind of sat back, and I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Anyone can die. No one is safe. I love this show.
Yeah, and I mean, especially for, people who have read the books, like you, obviously, and myself, if I remembered them, especially these past 3 seasons have been, there's so much more of that, obviously, because, they're departing from the books, which makes it a lot more interesting. All right. Well, that was Season 8, Episode 2, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And that's what we thought about it. So, if you're looking to find out more about what we think and what happened and what we think will happen, be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode. And if you really want to know real quick, you can hit that subscribe button because we're YouTube stars. Thank you for listening.